After having seen the first two units, we are going to the third unit. As I already told, unlike other subjects, logic is built on what has step by step, what has already been taught. Therefore, we cannot understand what we teach today unless you are solidly standing on what has been taught earlier. So accompanying reflection and study is required. And not only accompanying, but also see ahead. I already sent the notes in the soft copy, so it will be available to you. The third unit is dealing with the propositions. Now, how do we come to, in order to show what a proposition is? We relate with a term. Just as a concept is expressed by means of a term, so also a proposition is expressed by means of a statement. A proposition is expressed by means of a statement. So just as a term is the verbal expression of a concept, for example, table. The moment I speak, when I use the expression table orally or in written form, it has already become a term. But what am I expressing? The concept of table. I cannot give an example for a concept of table unless I speak about it. The moment I speak, it has already become a term, it is already expressed. But before expressing, what is expressed is the concept. The idea of table is expressed by means of a term. Table, when I say, when I orally speak, and when I write, it is also a term. So, concept is expressed by means of a term. So also, a proposition is expressed by means of a statement. And the explanation given, a proposition, I just made a little mistake, not a proposition, a judgment. A judgment is expressed by means of a statement or proposition. You off it now. When I look at me. So we make a distinction between a judgment and a statement or proposition. Both are synonymous as far as logic is concerned. We can use the expression judgment, or we may use the expression proposition. But that is the expression of a judgment. Now, what is a judgment? A judgment is the mental act that affirms or denies something about something or somebody. It is a mental act of making a judgment. This is a piece of chalk. That judgment is already expressed. That by the very fact I am using the words, I am expressing orally, it is already expressed. But before expression, I have already made a judgment. This is a piece of chalk, or this piece of chalk is white. That is a judgment. That judgment, which is already a mental act, that this is white, I already with the mind, I affirm or deny this piece of chalk is white. That mental act is a judgment. Either it can be denial, it can be affirming or denying. Something, a mental act that affirms or denies something about something or somebody. Somebody, I put it because it can be about a person as well. So and so is tall. That means I am speaking about somebody, something. So a judgment is a mental act, the act that is carried out by mind or intellect. What do you do that? What kind of act? That act that affirms or denies something about something. This piece of chalk is white. I am speaking about this piece of chalk and I am saying something about that something. About this piece of chalk, I am affirming it is white. When I say this piece of chalk is not blue, I am denying. So both are judgments. Both are a mental act of affirming or denying. But I cannot give an example for a judgment. The moment I give an example for a judgment, I am already giving an example for a proposition or a statement. Because judgment, when it is expressed orally or in written form, it has already become a statement or a proposition. Therefore, this piece of chalk is white is a proposition. But that proposition is an expression of the mental act of affirming or denying something about something. That is judgment. So judgment is, so just as the concept of table, the concept of fan is expressed by the term fan. But before the term, the fan, that is only an English expression. But the idea of what it means to be a fan, that is there in the mind, that is expressed when I use a term in English, fan, in some other term, some other word. A proposition is a statement that affirms or denies something of something or somebody. The basic component, so there is the same, the definition of judgment and proposition apparently same, but it is not the same. You take note. The first one, judgment, is a mental act, and proposition is a statement that affirms. A statement, oral or written, that affirms or denies. The other one is the act of mind that relates one with the other. The basic components of a proposition are subject and predicate. That about which something is affirmed or denied, that is subject. It is a piece of chalk, that is the subject. And this piece of chalk is white, that is the predicate. So I am relating subject and predicate together. I am affirming something about the subject. Now we are going to dwell not on the proposition, one type of proposition, but before we come to that one type of proposition, as far as logic is concerned, we are giving, situating that one type in the various kinds. We are only taking only one division of propositions. So we are dividing propositions into four kinds. There are other ways of division, but here we are dividing into four kinds, and one of them we will focus on. But this is the logical way of procedure. There are four kinds. I am taking up only this one. That is the way we are done also in the past. We can speak about the logical definition. We can speak about the verbal definition. But two kinds of definitions are there. We are concerned about the logical one. The other one is situating, and from that one, I pick up one, we focus our attention on that one. Here, first we make the various types of propositions one type of division. That is what we are doing now. It can be divided into four kinds: categorical proposition, conjunctive proposition, disjunctive proposition, hypothetical proposition. Categorical, a simple assertion stating the relation between two terms, namely subject and predicate. A simple statement of something about somebody or something. This stand is on the table. Just a simple assertion, that's all. Every simple statement is a categorical proposition, and we'll understand it better when we contrast with the other one. Conjunctive proposition is a combination of more than one categorical proposition joined together. More than one categorical proposition, more than one simple propositions or statements are joined together. This table is made of wood, or this table is made of plastic, but this stand is made of wood. There, two simple propositions are joined together by and or but, similar conjunctions. They are called conjunctive connective, which you will study better in symbolic logic, but enough that more than one simple propositions are joined together with a connective. Two things are joined together, connective, a link. He is a singer, he is a dancer, he is a singer and he is a dancer. So, and that is the connective. Is called a conjunctive connective. What is the difference? We will see later. So, a conjunctive proposition is a compound statement or a combination of more than one simple statement, and they are joined together with a connective. A connective means a link. Disjunctive proposition, that again is a combination of more than one simple proposition. More than one simple proposition. But then they are joined differently. The connective is different. The connective is a disjunctive connective. Disjunctive connective means either this or that. Either the students go for play or they go for sleeping. Either this or that. Either they go for play, they go for sleeping. Two simple statements. They are joined together by not and but by or. That is called disjunction. Either this or that. Other one is and. Both are of equal importance. Either this or that. The fourth one is hypothetical proposition. That means it's a compound proposition. That means more than one simple proposition it consists of, consisting of an antecedent and a consequent. So two simple propositions are there, and out of that one is an antecedent. One is an antecedent. If there is rain, I will take bath. If there is rain, that means there is rain, that is antecedent. And what is the consequence? The consequence of having rain, I will take bath. That's the consequence. So two simple propositions of that one is an antecedent, the other one is a consequent. So that is most of all the if clauses, which may be expressed other ways. Not only if there is rain, I will take umbrella. Or in case it rains, I will take umbrella. That also is a hypothetical proposition. Supposing there is rain, I will take the umbrella. Provided it rains, I take the umbrella. Whatever be the way it is expressed, provided one of the simple proposition is a antecedent, the other one is a consequent, that a compound proposition is called hypothetical proposition. So these are the one type of division of the proposition, and among the four, we will focus for logic for the time being, or the Aristotelian logic, we focus our attention only on the categorical proposition. For symbolic logic, we will focus on the other types. But then, for the Aristotelian logic, for the present, we take categorical proposition and we focus attention on that one. Now, we are concerned only with the categorical proposition, which affirms or denies that the class S is included in the class P, either wholly or partially. We can divide them into 4 kinds. I know it is not understandable because there is no reflection has gone into it. Now, the class S is included in class P either wholly or partially. What is this class S? We already said there are 2 ingredients, 2 components are there in every proposition, and it is very evidently clear in the case of categorical proposition, which is same as a simple proposition. Here, class S stands for the subject and class P stands for the predicate. So, only their short form is used. Class S is included in the class P either wholly or partially, which we are going to explain when we take each type of relation. The basic question that what is the basis on which we are going to subdivide the categorical proposition is whether the class S, whether the whole subject is included in the class P either partially or wholly. We are going to see it more clearly. Now, what is the meaning of a class S being included in the class P? Better be attentive here. First one is universal affirmative. So first type of proposition is called universal affirmative proposition. Universal affirmative. Which is, we are using a short form which is universally accepted, that is A proposition. So A proposition means universal affirmative proposition. Universal affirmative proposition. And what is that one? So now why we have chosen, it is all over the world the term A stands for universal affirmative. It is coming from the Latin word affirmo, I affirm, and from that the first vowel is taken for the A proposition. A. So what is the speciality of this A proposition or universal affirmative? Here all the members of the class S are included in the class P. All the members of the class S, all members of the class S, everyone is included in the class P. All the members of the class S is included in the class P. Some examples are given to understand. Now, this needs concept, this needs thought. It is a hard thinking, precision to the maximum. For example, all men are creatures. All men are creatures. All men, that is the S. P is the creatures. All the men are included in all the creatures. All the men are included in the group of creatures. All the Indians are Asians. We are given the example. All the Indians are Asians. All the Indians are included in the group called Asians. That is the meaning of the whole S is included. Every member of the S is included in the group of P. That is what is meant by universal affirmative or A proposition. All the members of the class S are included in the class P. All men are creatures. Every man can learn dancing. every man means it is not as, it is referring to all the human beings. So universal means the subject is universal term. That is it. Now don't ask me what is universal term. We have made a distinction, universal as different from particular. So provided the subject is universal, the statement is universal. All men are creatures. Here all men, that is universal, because it includes everyone in that group of human being. And every man can learn dancing. Every man, it includes all the human beings. Therefore, it is universal. Any educated man knows logic. Any educated man, that means all educated men know logic. All. So, although it is expressed differently, the meaning is all, referring to every individual of that group. Prakash is an Indian. So there I need little explanation. I given in bracket. It is to be kept in mind that the singular term is included in the universal when it refers to a singular individual person or thing, not as part of a class, but a class by himself or itself. So when you speak Prakash is an Indian, there we are taking Prakash in logic as a universal. Prakash we are not taking, although it is a singular, we are not taking as part of a group, but rather it is a group by itself. In logic, as far as logic is concerned, it is universal. Thus, a minister has gone to Europe is not universal. A minister has gone to Europe. Here, one of the ministers, among all the ministers have not gone, only one of them, therefore, is a particular. But the other one, a minister has to be honest. A minister has to be honest. That is not referring to one minister, but every minister. So we have to understand the meaning. Whether meaning, a minister has to be honest, it is not referring to a few ministers or one minister, it is referring to all the ministers. Therefore, there it is universal. But a minister has misbehaved, that is particular, because it is referring to, from out of the group, only one is referred to. Okay. Now, that is the A proposition. Second one is universal negative. That means the subject is universal, but the proposition is not affirmative, but it is negative. And it is symbolized by E from nego. Nego means in Latin means deny, negate. So the first vowel is chosen to symbolize universal negative. What is speciality of universal negative? Here the class S is wholly excluded from the class P. The class S is wholly excluded. Wholly means what? Totally. Totally excluded from the class P. But in the first case, the class S is totally included in the class P. Here it is totally excluded from the class P. S is totally excluded. And for instance, so no man is perfect. No man. There are how many we are speaking? How many human beings we are speaking about? Every human being. And every human being is excluded from every perfect being. No human being can be found among the perfect being. Maybe a simpler example, no Indian is a European. No Indian is a European. There, all the Indians are excluded from all the Europeans. All the Indians are excluded from all Europeans. None of them can be found identified with any of the Europeans. Totally excluded. That is the meaning of universal negative. There is no member of the class, first class, that means S, who is also a member of the second class. All the S are excluded from all the P. The third one is particular affirmative. We symbolize it with I. So A, E, I, particular affirmative. That means the subject is particular. The first two cases, the subject is universal. Here subject is particular. And the statement is affirmative. Statement is affirmative. So it is taken from the second letter, the second vowel in affirmo. Affirmo, I affirm. I, A is the first vowel, I is the second vowel. So we use that one. For a particular affirmative, we use I preposition. Now what is speciality of this particular affirmative? Here the class yes is partially included in the class P. Partially included in the class P. That means the whole class S is not included in the class P, but not totally excluded either. But then partially, part of the S is included in the P. Part of the S is included in the class P. Not totally included, not totally excluded, which you already seen here. Partially included in the class P. So partially or some means at least one. When you say one of the ministers, that is also particular. Or almost all the ministers are liars. Almost all. That means if insofar as we do not include everyone, it is particular. Almost all the ministers are liars. There we are saying the subject is particular because it does not include all the ministers, but only some of the ministers. Even if it is the 99%, still it is particular. Some men are wise. That means some among the group of all the men, some are put in the group of the wise. Not all men cannot be put there. Not all men are wise means it will be universal affirmative. Yeah. But here it is some men are wise. Part of the yes is included in the P. That is I preposition. Now the last one is O preposition, particular negative. And it means it again taken from the nego, the second vowel of I deny or I negate, and the O is the second vowel. Therefore O stands for particular negative. Here class S is partially excluded from class P. Different from I. Both are partially, but in the case of I, the class S is partially included. In the case of I, in the case of O preposition, the class S is partially excluded from P. Partially excluded. Some men are not healthy. Some men are excluded from those who are healthy, are not healthy. Some are excluded from the healthy. Some Indians are not musicians. or some Asians are not Indians. Some Asians are not Indians. Yeah. Yeah, that means some Asians are excluded from the Indians, from being Indian. So this again, of course, the example seems to be simple, but then the concept has to be understood. What is the meaning of universal affirmative, universal negative, particular affirmative, particular negative? There, that is the meaning of logic, precision. It doesn't come automatically. We have to struggle with our intellect. Make use of the intellect. Reason is given. If you don't use it, it will get rusty. So we are giving ample chance for, as far as the logic is concerned, as far as the precision is concerned, logic is the best example or the best discipline for us to have greater precision. So these are so after having made the division, the first division of the propositions, and we took up only one of them, categorical proposition, and then that we are dividing into universal affirmative, A proposition, E proposition, I proposition, O proposition. It is not enough to remember A, E, I, O, but we have to know what is A. The class S is totally included in the class P. All Indians are Asians. All the Indians are in the group of P. And the other one, class S, E proposition. Class S is totally excluded from class P. No Indian is a European. Totally excluded. No Indian will be found as identified with a European. And I proposition, particular affirmative, part of the S is included in the P. In the case of O proposition, part of the S is excluded from the P. There, take the example and reflect, and then you understand what is the meaning. It's not enough that we have it in the note, but it has to be reflected upon. There's one small section I have added before you go to the more important one, this reduction of sentences to logical form. Aristotelian logic recognizes only A, E, I, O propositions. That means we can work with logic only with these four kinds of propositions. Therefore, any other statements, any other sentences, if they are there, make it sure that they can be changed, reduced, or transformed into any one of the four. If we cannot change, we cannot use them for logic. So there are a few samples we are giving. So all the sentences we cannot change into A, E, I, O. But there are many sentences that can be changed into very explicit form of A, E, I, O. I give enough to read the example, something that the rules are given that you can read by yourself. But when you see the example, that things are clear, then you go by yourself into the three rules that are given in reducing sentences to logical form. For instance, every citizen must be loyal to his country. There, of course, that is not that difficult, because every citizen means all citizen. All citizens are the persons who must be loyal to the country. This is a proposition. He who digs a pit for others will fall into it himself. He who digs, we are not referring to one person, not a particular. All those who dig pits for others will fall into it. That means it is a universal, a proposition. Not all dictators are cruel. Not all dictators are cruel is not an E proposition. Not all dictators means the meaning of that statement is some dictators are not cruel. Therefore, it is a O proposition. So, now when you reduce into one of the logical forms, it is clear. Not every good bowler is a good batsman. That means some good bowlers are not good batsmen. Again, a negative, particular negative. All the doctors in the world could not save him. All the doctors in the world, that means no doctor in the world could save him. Universal negative, E proposition. An owl cannot see during the day. An owl, not one owl. An owl means all the owls. No owl can see during the day. That means it is a E proposition, universal negative. Barking dogs seldom bite. Barking dogs seldom bite. It does not mean all the barking dogs. It means some barking dogs do not bite. It is a particular negative. None but the Hindus worship Shiva. None but the Hindus worship Shiva. It does not mean all the Hindus worship Shiva. It means all those who worship Shiva are Hindus. Not the other way. Not that all Hindus worship Shiva, but rather all those who worship Shiva are Hindus. A proposition. Only the wise are fit to rule. That means all those who are fit to rule are wise. Not that all the wise are fit to rule. Only the wise are fit to rule. All those who are fit to rule are wise. That is the meaning of the statement. All but a few were saved in the accident. That means only some were saved in the accident. All but a few means only some are saved in the accident. So here it is a I proposition. So we are given some of the examples, some explanations and clarifications. You can go by yourself into this thing in the light of what we have said here. The section itself is not that important. The purpose of this section is we need to have any one of the four types of propositions. Only then we can use them in logic. Otherwise, we cannot use it in logic. Therefore, if possible, we must change the unclear sentences into one of the four. If possible, all the sentences cannot be changed. So, whenever possible, we have to change them into very explicitly clear, into either A, E, I, O. Only then we can use them in logic. So with this, I stop here.